Hello friends, this is Mayur. So today I'm going to talk about LiDAR sensor, how exactly we can use LiDAR sensor to get information about our world and how to process and visualize that information. We'll also see how exactly we can use that point cloud data to infer information about our environment, or how exactly we can use that for 3D object detection. So that's something we'll gonna see today. So let's get started. So first of all, let's try to understand what's meant by LiDAR and how exactly the sensor works. So LiDAR is nothing but light detection and ranging. So in this sensor, we will have like array of lasers stacked in vertical direction, and they have a capacity to sweep in horizontal direction. So there are two hardware options available for LiDAR sensor. First is one with which has a capacity like mechanical rotational ladder, so which is capable of like rotating 360-degree and map the entire environment in one rotation. And second is solid state ladder. So it really doesn't have any rotational or mechanical component inside that ladder. So in case of the LiDAR, we have laser. So laser beam will be emitted from emitter, and that something will travel to obstacle. It will be reflected by that obstacle, and that light will something again received by receptor. So based on this time of flight of that light wave, we can infer information about distance of that particular point from the LiDAR sensor, and that's how we get coordinate of that particular point, xyz coordinate of that point with respect to our LiDAR sensor. And when we so in case of the LiDAR sensor, we will have like a number of arrays stacked in vertical direction. So we might have like 4 arrays or 32 or 64 or 128 arrays stacked in vertical direction, and that's something help us to get better resolution and like better accuracy while mapping or scanning the environment. So when we map entire environment in one rotation, we will get certain points. And when we combine all those points together, we get point cloud. So that's the output of LiDAR sensor. But for better handling of that data, we need to store in some file format. So there are two options available for that. First is ASCII file format. That's something we can open in editor and see what exactly inside that file. But it's really not that computationally effective and efficient way to handle that data. So second format is using binary, storing that information in terms of binary format. So that's like computationally efficient way to handle that information using like PCD extension. But yeah, that's something we cannot open in editor. And then third is a mixed format like PLY format. So this is something we can use. So this is how we can store. I mean, this is how we can sense the environment using LiDAR sensor, and we can store them in specific file format, PCD or PLY file format. The next thing is we want to visualize that point cloud, or see what exactly is there inside that point cloud. So that something can be done using various point cloud libraries. So there is like point cloud library, then the Open3D library. So these are the libraries which are available out there, and that's something we can use to process that information. So here our task is just to like visualize that information. So let's see how that can be done. So that's the first task. Whenever we have point cloud data available with us, and when we have to do some sort of processing on that thing, first of all we need to see what exactly we have available with us. So first is a visualization thing or processing thing. So first of all we need to install Open3D point cloud library. So people install Open3D equal to and then this 0.10.0. So this version is something we need to install. Once we install Open3D library, next thing that we need to do is we need to import few more libraries to operate on that information or operate on data that we have inside that point cloud. So we need NumPy library to operate on arrays. We need Open3D libraries to get algorithms, and we need time libraries to get idea about how long it takes to do execution of particular algorithm. Then we also need like Panda libraries to get data frames out of that data. Then also we need matplotlib .pyplot library to deal with like visualization of that data. So that's something we need to import. And once we are done with that thing, then we can go further and we can read that point cloud using this command open3d.read open3d.io.read point cloud, and then we need to provide a path to our file, and that will be stored in that PCD form. Object will be generated, and that will be stored in this this PCD format, PCD variable, and that's something we can use in next step at this line for visualization purpose. Open3D visualization dot draw geometries, and then we need to provide this thing over there. So we can do this visualization over there. Okay. Then next thing is, once we visualize that information, we can also get information about what exactly there inside that PCD variable. Okay, so for that purpose, we need to we can also get idea about how many points are there inside our point cloud using that print length of that PCD dot point command. But we also need but if you want to see what exactly there inside that PCD object, then we can use print np dot as array PCD dot points, and we can see what exactly we have available over here. So that's about those PCD point. But thing is that whenever we talk about point cloud, so sometimes we generally used to have 100K points inside that point cloud, and that's huge number. If you have to do computation on that huge data, then it will consume a lot of memory, and it's really not computationally efficient way to handle that data. Okay, and some point sometimes might be redundant, and it's really not necessary to operate on the data point, and that's the reason we need to have downsampling of our point cloud data, and that's something can be done using this Oxel grid downsampling principle. So Oxel grid is nothing but 3D cube, and using this downsampling, we are just restricting a number of points inside that one cube. Okay, so basically what we are doing is we are just deciding size of that Oxel grid, and we are allowing just only one point inside that voxel grid. If we increase size of that voxel grid, then our resolution of point cloud will decrease. If we reduce that size, then our point cloud will be again huge. Okay, so down PCD. So using this command, I'm downsampling this thing by 20%. Okay, or I'm reducing size of the voxel. And having this I'm selecting size of this 0.2 for my voxel grid, and using this command open3d dot PCD dot voxel downsample voxel size equal to 0.2. I'm downsampling it, and then after downsampling and seeing how many points are there. Once we are done with that thing, once we downsample our point cloud data, next thing that we need to do is we need to do segmentation of our data. So segmentation is basically just a way of finding outliers in our data. Okay, so we could have done that thing using linear regression, but it might just it might not just possible to get that thing done properly. And just to handle that thing, we are using some algorithm named RANSAC, or random sample consensus. So using that consensus algorithm, we are doing this sampling, and we are just finding which points are part of that particular plane and which points are not part of that plane. Okay, so here we are finding those inliers. Okay, so we are operating again on the down PCD. So down PCD segment plane. So we are mentioning threshold distance. Then we are mentioning how many points we need. So in our case, we are dealing with mesh. So or plane. So it will be made of 3 points, and then iterations. How many times we want to iterate over that thing. Okay, and we are minimizing that thing, and that's how we are getting inliers. And then those means all those points which are part of that in layers, we are storing them in some in layer cloud. Down PCD select by index. Okay, so only those points is something we are storing in layer cloud, and then which are not within that tolerance zone or threshold distance, we are storing them in outlier cloud. Okay, so we can tell here that in those points which are part of this inlier cloud, these are part of like a road network or like road surface, and others are like obstacles in the environment. It could be like curve, it could be vehicles, it could be like buildings or anything. So these are part of like outlier cloud. And then we need to visualize that thing. Okay, so we are visualizing both of these things at a time using open3D visualization.draw geometries, and then outlier cloud and inlier cloud. And we are also noting time for seeing how fast it goes, and that's something we are seeing over here. Okay, so that's how ransack algorithm works. So in case of the ransack algorithm, so ransack algorithm might can operate on either line or plane. So in our case it's plane. So first of all, first 3 points will be chosen randomly, and those 3 points will form a plane. And then we will check for all other points whether those points are within that distance from that plane, which is mentioned by distance threshold value. Okay, dictated by the distance threshold value. And if it's within that range, then we will call them as like inlier, part of that inlier family. Otherwise we will not consider them. And we will do it for all those points and see how many points are part of that inlier variable. Okay, and what we are basically trying to do is we are like repeating this thing again and again, and we are trying to get best fit for that thing using this ransack algorithm. So ransack algorithm is just to find outliers in our data, and then we are like selecting index, and then we are storing them in inlier cloud and outlier cloud, and then just visualizing this thing. So that's how this ransack algorithm works. The next thing that we generally do is, so once we are sure about which point are part of road surface and which point are part of external environment, we can go further and like we can cluster all those points which are part of outlier cloud as a separate object. Okay, so it's similar to image classification thing, but just that instead of operating on pixel, here you are operating on point cloud, and we are putting them into like different classes or object, or in this case like different clusters. So to do that thing, there are two options available. First is using like a dbscan method, and second is, so that clustering can be done using two methods. First is dbscan method. So here we do density estimation. So here we start with particular point, then we see we decide like minimum distance between 2 points. So we will select which point is like closest to this point, and whether that point is like within that threshold epsilon distance mentioned by epsilon value. If that is thing, then we will consider that as a part of that cluster only. Then we will also check whether minimum number of points which are there inside that cluster are like greater than this value mentioned by minimum points of that cluster. If it's greater than, then we will allow it in place, and we will not consider that thing. Okay, so that's something we call as like a random ghost clusters. Okay, so that's something we want to neglect. And then we just keep on expanding our cluster size, and if that distance is going beyond that value, then we are just like ending our cluster over there, and next cluster will begin over there. Okay, so that's the dbscan method. And sdbscan method is one where this epsilon value or the distance is something will be chosen automatically. So that's the sdbscan method. So that's something we have implemented over here using this open3D library. So open3D utility work velocity context manager. We are implementing this cluster dbscan method or our outlier cloud data, and we are getting all those clusters. We are storing them inside levels variable, and we are getting like how many max labels are there inside our library and all that stuff. Okay, and then we are just visualizing that thing, and we are also providing different color to each of that cluster available with us. Okay, So we have like around 57 cluster available with us for that particular point cloud. So that's the one way to go about that thing. Second thing is using like KD tree and K nearest neighbor method. So that's something which operate on centroid principles. Okay, so here what we generally do is we decide how many cluster will be there inside our data, then we assign those cluster points. Then from that cluster point we select whether those points are within that particular boundary, or I mean whether these points are within that particular distance or not. If those points are within that distance, then we consider part of that cluster, otherwise we will skip them. And then we will like estimate central point of that cluster, and we will do this updation thing again. So that's how this k nearest neighbor method works. But thing is that here we need to operate over like entire point cloud, and that's really not a good thing. Okay, so and just to like speed up this computation process, we generally use KD tree method or KD tree algorithm. So KD tree algorithm, what it does is it sort that entire point cloud based on its position in X and Y and Z space. Okay, so we just operate over these things, and that's how we sort them. Okay, so here we are really not concerned about Z, but yeah, that's how we like do this sorting, so that we do not have to do this unnecessary computation while checking nearest neighbor. Okay, so first of all, using this open 3d dot kd tree plan, uh, so using this method which operate over outlier data, and we get that pcd tree or kd tree. Okay, and then we operate over that pcd tree. Okay, first of all, we need to provide some anchor point. So that's something we have mentioned over here, like what is that point. So it is a 15 point, and then we're gonna see like 20 point nearest to that point, and we will consider them as part of that cluster. Okay, so this pcd tree, and then we have like uh, search knn vector 3d, and we'll store them in k and idx, and then we provide different color to different values. Okay, so here we are providing blue color to all our those values. Okay, and then we are just visualizing it. The next thing is, once we are done with that clustering, next thing is drawing bounding boxes around those clusters. Okay, if we generally if we just draw bounding boxes around that cluster based on like smallest point, like smallest point in x direction, largest point in x direction, y direction, and z direction, we will just get cube, and it's not a good thing. We this bounding box is really doesn't tell much about orientation of that struggle in the environment. And to get fair idea about that thing, we use dimensionally reduction algorithm called like principal component analysis algorithm. So what does this algorithm does is like it consider high dimensional data, and it convert them to like scale up like principal component along first principal component and then second principal component, and based on that it fits bounding box around them. Okay, so that's something we are doing over here. But apart from, so that's something we are doing over here. Okay, so we are sorting them, we are like creating some sort of data frame out of it, out for all those clusters, and storing them in index. And the next thing we want to do is like we want to perform that PCA thing to draw bounding box around our clusters. But apart from the thing that we have done inside KNN and our DB scan, we also want to have control of how many points should be there inside our point cloud. So here we are setting the limits 20 and max is 1000. So for I means for it's operating over all the clusters, and for each cluster, it's checking how many points are there. Okay, it's means it's finding how many points are there for that particular cluster, and then it checking against this criteria. If it's within that range, then it's creating like sub cloud, and that's something storing inside sub cloud. And then like for that particular sub cloud, we are getting we are running this PCA thing, and we are getting bounding box. Okay, and we are coloring it with like blue color, and we are appending this OBB thing to this OBS variable. Okay, so I'm gonna run this thing. And the next thing is we need to visualize this thing. So we are, first of all, we'll create this like empty array, and we will like append that thing with this outlier cloud data. Then we will like extend that with the bounding boxes that we have found, and then we will again add like inlier clouds over there, and we're gonna just visualize them. Okay, so that's something we have, and that's how we get result for all those things. That's how we get bounding boxes. So now let's see how many bounding boxes we have get over here. So it's like 20. I ran it already, and it was giving me 20. Okay, and we can also get like how many points are there inside each of that cluster. Okay, so since my internet connection is weak and it's disconnected at the moment, I won't be able to like show result to you. But yeah, I'll develop one more video and I will show result to you. Okay, that's it about this entire algorithm. So this is just like one part of like how exactly we can operate over that point cloud. So this is like a new approach to deal with that thing. But then there is also learn approach to operate over that 3D point cloud data, and it deals with all sort of methods available for like 3D object detection. So these methods involves like region proposal based method. So we will have like multi-view based method over there. We will have like segmentation based method over there, frustum based method over there, and then we will also have like single shot methods. So we will have like discretization based method, point based methods over there. Okay, so there are various algorithms, and a lot of research is happening in that domain of like learn algorithms, and that's something, or learn means 3D deep learning, and that's something we can use to do this object detection, or to do this shape classification or segmentation. So that's something probably we'll study in next course. But just to list what algorithms are like making noise these days are like a point net, then we have like point net plus plus, then we have like laser net, then we have like point pillars, then we have like complex LO, I guess. So this sort of deep learning algorithms are available, and that's something we can use to get this 3D object detection done. Okay, so that's about this video. I hope you have enjoyed and you have learned something useful from it. Thank you.